which GM makes the best moves at the deadline.
So not overly concerned about any of, was it Brown? Who are the guys who all left? Was it four guys? Perry, Brown,
Arvidsson.
you know best.
Arvidsson.
Perry, Brown, Arvidsson, and Jeff Skinner are gone. So they bring in Matt Savoy. They bring in Mangiapane. I think they bring in Frederick. He played 7 minutes in the regular season last year, right? So to me, he's a new regular season guy. And then Thomasek.
Yeah. So full season with a couple of those guys. The Frederick contract is a good commitment to a player that I really like, and I think that there's a lot more to be found. How much of this is yet to be filled in as they move towards trying to get over the hump and win this Stanley Cup? Is there still more to come for them, or are they built good enough now?
No. I think, and I wrote this before free agency. It's hard to get your, like, look at Florida. We could argue Florida won the cup because of their trade deadline moves in Jones and Marchand, right? Now, it obviously helps that you can exceed the salary cap in the playoffs. Let's make no bones about that. But it's legal. It's in the rules, but that helped them. I look at Edmonton, and at the trade deadline, I think they're going to look at three things. Are their goaltenders more secure? If not, they're going to get a goalie. A second pair right defenseman and a winger. They'll probably get two of those three, depending on what's the biggest need.
How fast do they need to get a goalie here? Is it just to appease Connor McDavid? Can they wait? Last time I checked, their goalies have done a pretty good job helping them in the playoffs win rounds and get to a Stanley Cup final. So how much of a pressing need is it, and how does that compare to what's available right now?
Well, Nick, you bring up a great point, because I think there's a lot of people that forgot that Edmonton really kind of cruised to the first three rounds after, they had two bad games, and then they went 12-2, and they walloped Dallas and Vegas, two really good teams. Like, those series weren't even close, right? Vegas wins on an Edmonton own goal. Otherwise, that might have been a sweep. So, and Stu Skinner 2 years in a row was infinitely better than Jake Ottinger. He's not Bobrovsky, right? So Florida had the better goalie in the final, no question about that. So I think that they will look. I think they're going to make a change to their goalie coach, and I'm not saying that the goalie coach is the reason why, but sometimes a new voice can help. So I think that's going to come for Skinner, and then they'll see. I don't see a big rush because which goalies are truly available. Like everybody, I saw the rumors, Jake Allen's going to get $5 million. He signed for 1.8. I know he signed for 5 years, but hell, he could have signed 2 years at 10 mil and made the same amount of money. So I don't know if there's a huge, glaring obvious goalie, but I think it's one they'll look at to see how Stu Skinner does. Stu Skinner, I actually thought he improved in the playoffs, and that he didn't let in really soft goals. Like the third goal in Game 6, it was a terrible rebound. I don't know what he was thinking, but he didn't let in like weak goals. He just didn't make the big saves. So it's kind of an improvement. And he's a young goalie at 26. There's only 7 goalies in the NHL who are younger than Skinner and played more than 20 games last year. 7. And those guys have a combined 3 playoff games. Skinner has 50, right? Like he's still a young goalie. I know it's frustrating because he's not as good as Bobrovsky, but they're not built to have their goalies steal them games all the time. And he did steal them some games up until the final.
Yeah, it's a tough pill for fans to swallow, right? Like this one thing that they can't. It seems like they can't get right, but you're right. If he was available, there'd be people falling all over themselves to get their hands on him for the number he makes. So I hear what you're saying there. Let's talk a little bit about Evan Bouchard. Signed himself a 4-year, $10.5 million per season contract. What were your initial impressions versus the expectations for that deal?
Well, I kind of thought he was going to be a $10 million guy. So I had actually heard that, they were asking for more on a long-term deal. So 4 years, Bouchard, like this year, Bouchard's security blanket known as Matthias Ekholm wasn't there. And Bouchard was still really good in the playoffs. Actually, guys, if you go back and look, the Game 5 and 6 was more Ekholm's errors than Bouchard's that cost the Oilers on those goals. So I think Evan Bouchard, like he can be a frustrating player at times because in the regular season, maybe he'll go back to a puck a little nonchalantly and people are like, oh my God, and they remember that play. But meanwhile, he'll make, 50 other good plays in the game that kind of go unnoticed. So he's He's the guy who shoots the puck the hardest, the most frequently, like 90-mile-an-hour shots more than anyone. He wasn't a guy who padded all his stats in the power play. He didn't have a power play goal, really, I think, until February. So I think Bouchard, in what the market is today for as many points as he gets, it's what you're going to get. Can he frustrate you at times? Yes. But in the playoffs, guys, no one can argue that Evan Bouchard's playoff game is amongst the elite defenders the last few years. His goals against per 60 is actually better than Cale Makar. So I don't know if I'm that surprised by it. I guess 4 years people don't love, but in 4 years, he's either going to continue to mature and then maybe he moves on. But I'd be surprised if Bouchard doesn't give you pretty good value. He will give you a few games and a few plays that people will highlight and focus on, but I think people who do that are probably missing the vast majority of his game, which is pretty darn good.
Jason, we know the challenges on the salary cap for the Edmonton Oilers still to this day. So long-term success, a Stanley Cup, does it include Bouchard and Darnell Nurse making $20 million between them? Is that even an issue now moving forward?
Oh, I think it's potentially an issue for sure. Like, Darnell Nurse is never going to live up to his contract. He's not going to have the offensive numbers that ever live up to it. So he needs to be more consistent defensively. I thought he was good at times, but he doesn't give you the offense to make up for some of the mistakes. Like, he needs to be better when he comes around the net. If the winger's not open, he's got to be able to read the play better and not just throw a grenade up that leads to an icing call. I know that, icings aren't the end of the world if you don't lose faceoffs, but I look at Florida. They won the Cup this past year. Their top 6 salaries ate up 59.8% of the cap. This season, the Oilers' top 6 guys, with McDavid, still doesn't have a contract extension, but with their top 8, they'll make up around 60%. So it's not much different, but one of those guys is Nurse. He'll have to be a little bit more consistent, I think, in his play, because Florida had Verhaeghe, and he contributed very well in their Stanley Cup run. So I think it's on Nurse to be better, and I think ultimately long term, it'll get to a point where either Nurse is going to give them a little bit more consistent play. I thought he was decent this year, but I still think there's more when you're making 9.25. You just need a little bit more.
Jason, I know getting past the LA Kings was not a particularly huge hurdle for the Oilers in recent years, but how did you feel about what they did? A direct competitor, Cody Ceci goes there for 4 times 4.5. Dumoulin gets $4 million. Armia, Perry. What are your thoughts? The Kings spent like $25 million on guys that were a lot of, really?
Yeah, it was an interesting day in LA land. I think they went in, God, we got a lot of money to spend, and there wasn't really a lot of guys to spend on, but they decided they were going to spend on him anyway. Like Cody Ceci and Brian Dumoulin, I'm like, wouldn't you have just signed Gavrikov to $8 million by himself? Like, I don't know if Gavrikov just wanted to leave, because he signed for 7 in New York. Are you telling me that the Kings didn't offer him 7? So I'd love to get to the bottom of that decision for Gavrikov. Did he just want to leave? I know lots of Russian players love playing in New York, so maybe that was part of it. Because right now, if you look at the Kings blue line, like, one of Ceci and Dumoulin, if not both, are going to be in their third pair. It's a lot of money for a third pairing. So I don't think the Kings necessarily got better by any stretch. They might have got a little bit more regular season consistency, but I'm not sure they're better and built for the playoffs. They're going to have to hope that, guys up front continue to get better, right? That Byfield takes a big jump this year. Fiala continues to do what he does. And Brant Clark, I think, on the back end is the guy they're going to look at to take a jump. Yeah. But I agree with you. They spent a lot of money that I'm kind of like, hey, I love Corey Perry. He just had an unreal year. But he's basically guaranteed $3.5 million.
Yeah.
Right? Like, his playoff bonuses are $500,000. But $3.5 million. And I know he scored 19 goals. Now, maybe he'll do it again. Maybe he's just the ageless wonder. But
probably not.
Yeah, it's a risky bet, right? Like, it's a pretty risky bet for me.
How much are they going to miss Corey Perry? Like, he went from a constant thought of minimum salary, 4th-line guy, maybe in and out of the lineup, to being a real important guy.
Well, the thing about Perry, like, he scored big goals, guys, but it's funny, like, his goals, 4 goals against 5-on-5 in the playoffs weren't very good. So he scored a lot, but then he was on the ice. Not saying he was the only problem when they give up goals, but at the end of the day, it's give or take. And if you score lots, but then you're on the ice for a lot again, well, that's not great. So they'll miss Corey Perry, I think, in the room. He's a calming factor. That Perry knows when to show up for games. That's the one thing he's very good at, right? Like he can bring them into a fight at times. And I think maybe that's why LA got him, is they're like, hey, we need a guy that can calm us down in the playoffs, because you look at LA in games 3 and 4, they kind of self-destructed against Edmonton. They made some pretty bad decisions. And so I think Ken Holland's thinking maybe Corey Perry and Draisaitl and McDavid have both talked about it. Like, Corey Perry's an incredibly smart player, and he's incredibly calm and knows when to speak up at the right time and what to say. He doesn't rah-rah all the time, and a lot of times he speaks up with his actions on the ice. And I think they will miss him there more than anywhere else. And but the Oilers, they better have other guys in the room now that have been through back-to-back cup runs, that they'll know when's the right time to stand up and speak.
All right, I cannot let you go without asking you about Connor McDavid and what the heck is going on here. Everybody tells me, hey, Leon Draisaitl didn't sign till like the end of August, September. Guess what? I love Leon. He ain't Connor, okay? And the reason why it may have gone to September is because Edmonton may have not wanted to hit that 14 number. This is majorly different for Connor McDavid. This ain't about 14, 15, 16. It's about, hey, Connor, you tell us what you want to make and we'll sign it tomorrow. So what are we about to see here in the next little while, or not see?
Well, a few things with Draisaitl. I actually was told that $14 million number was one that they kind of had in March. But they weren't going to sign